Hi and welcome to the demo launch. Today we look at the Deeflexx Sound Deflection System. What this curious little piece of art does is it deflects the sound of your speaker. It spreads the sound of your speaker evenly throughout the whole room. It solves the following problems. A speaker always sounds different depending on where you stand in the room, because the speaker projects in kind of like a cone. And right in the middle, you have the so-called beam with all the harsh frequencies, and also different wavelengths get transported differently. This creates problems for the audience and the musicians. For the audience, in small venues, the people might not mic the amp. The amp might just be there on stage and angled somehow, and depending on where you sit, you might get the high beam with all the harsh frequencies in your face, or you get just the boomy bassy sounds and not really hear and can not really distinguish what's going on. For the musicians, a lot of the time you have to stand or sit really close to your amp, and if it was like this, the speaker would project here and I would only hear the low frequencies really good. So what people might do is they would crank the volume, crank the high frequencies, or get bigger amps, bigger caps, but this is all not a good solution. And by the way, a 4x12 cap sounds best meters away, not when you stand right next to it. So if you crank the volume and crank the high frequencies, it might sound okay for yourself, but everybody else will suffer because it will be horribly loud and harsh. So that's not a good solution. There have been other solutions like beam blockers that just block the harsh frequencies, and plexiglass walls, but there's all not really a good solution for your stage sound. It's not a round sound. It just cuts off the high frequencies, and it's definitely better in some solutions, like if you have a venue where you mic the microphone, then a plexiglass wall might be a good thing so the audience doesn't get blasted too much. But you yourself still wouldn't have a really good round organic sound. The same might be when you have your cap angled towards yourself. You yourself might get the high beam and just lower the high frequencies maybe a bit too much even, and still everybody else wouldn't have a good round sound. So what the Deeflexx does is it spreads the sound evenly throughout the room. So you can dial in a really cool and pleasant sound, and everybody, the musicians and the audience, will have that sound. So let me try to show you what the Deeflexx can do. What I'm going to do is, and I totally stole that from Thomas Blug, I'm going to record a little loop here, and then I'm going to be recording with the condenser mic here and my phone actually. I don't have a stereo mic, that would be way better, but this will do. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to move the Deeflexx on and off, and I'm going to move around in the room a bit. I started using Deeflexx a while back when I was doing a clinic tour in Austria, and it was about showing all the details, all the tonal nuances of the instruments, amps and pedals. And I was in Kufstein, hi Horst, and they had the Deeflexx there, and I was able to use it for the workshops. And it was so cool because I heard the same thing as the audience. There was no microphone, so everybody heard the same tonal details. It was really cool, and I thought, okay, I need that. And then I also got in touch with Hoovy, who is the inventor, and we had a long chat about sound and how he came up with that. Really, really cool guy also. So another situation where I actually use my Deeflexx a lot is when I'm doing my demo launch videos here, because, well, my setup is usually with a 4x12 and an amp, and as much as I love it, I rarely use the cap because it doesn't work with the Deeflexx, and sitting right here I don't have a good sound. So what I do is I connect the amp with my little 1x12 cap, and this is usually hidden in my desk, and what I then just need to do is put the Deeflexx in front of it. I don't have to move it or anything, and I have a good sound. So one thing is I can play with low volume because the sound gets just spread really nice, and I'm living in an apartment building, so I don't want to bother the neighbors. The second thing is I still prefer to play with the cap for performance reasons, so it's just nicer for me. And I love the load boxes and the IRs. It's really cool for recording, and for the performance for myself, I still love to have a cap there. So a few things you might be curious about. You need one Deeflexx per speaker. You can use any speaker, 10-inch, 12-inch, 15, guitar, bass, keyboard, it all works. There are 3 different versions of the Deeflexx, and this is the medium price, the Aurora. And for me, this is very cool because it's clear and like see-through. So when I'm doing demos, it doesn't distract from the other things that I actually am supposed to demo. The material is a special plastic, which not only deflects the right way, but is also super stable, super sturdy. You can even stand on it without it breaking, so you don't need to treat it gently, and it will last a lifetime, which is just really nice for us musicians. Now, the price of these isn't really cheap, and you might wonder, why do I have to pay so much for a piece of plastic? But it's not the material that's expensive. The machine that can build those, that can make those, is just really expensive. It costs a shit ton of money, and it's not worth it buying it for such a thing that only sells in small quantities. So it has to be rented, and of course the material costs something, the retailers want their share, and of course the inventor should absolutely be compensated for his really cool invention. You can still mic the cap when you have the Deeflexx in front of it, and there's some examples and instructions on Huvi's homepage, which I'll put in the description below. And I'm curious myself, I haven't tried it, but I'm really curious myself if this alters the sound and how it maybe enhances it. So one situation where I actually don't use the Deeflexx is when I'm playing with Holy Moses, because we either use in-ears or we use the caps from the venue, and those are usually 4x12, so doesn't help. So if you have troubles hearing yourself on stage or during rehearsals, or when you're playing smaller venues, then the Deeflexx might really solve your problems and might absolutely be worth the investment. Okay, I hope I could give you a good impression of what the Deeflexx Sound Deflection System has to offer. If you want to find out more, check the website in the description below. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. Bye!